Hi, my name is Emily Porter, and this is my YouTube analysis for nursing, leadership, and management. So for this second YouTube analysis, I kind of decided to go with a little bit of an older movie, a movie that most people probably haven't heard of. It's called Flatliners. Big star cast: Keith Sutherland, Kevin Bacon, Julia Roberts. So basically, the plot of the movie is a group of medical students who are just particularly interested in the topic of death and if there is anything in the afterlife. So they decide to do their own experiment where they go into a church late at night and decide to basically kill themselves and try to revive themselves after a certain length of time to determine if there is anything in the afterlife. So the process that these medical students use to kill themselves, they basically put a mask over their nose with nitrous to kind of calm themselves down, and then they cool the body to 86 degrees with a cooling blanket, and then they use an analgesic that actually used to be one of the combination of medicines used in lethal injections. It's not used anymore, but they used that to put the other person under to completely knock them out. And then once the body was cooled to the 86 degrees, they would take a defibrillator and shock the heart, which was, currently in a normal rhythm, shock them into an abnormal rhythm to where it would flatline. So once that they were determined to have flatlined, they would give them X amount of time. So for the first one, they decide just to do 30 seconds to kind of explore the afterlife. When that 30 seconds was up, they would rewarm the body to 93 degrees. They would give 1 cc of epinephrine, and then they would shock the body to bring the person back. And then they would basically ask this person, what they saw in the afterlife. So one of the students says that their reason for wanting to do this experiment was to see if there's anything in the afterlife, to prove if religion exists, to prove if science exists, and if philosophy exists. They all kind of have different reasons for wanting to do it. One of them, Julia Roberts, she says the reason that she wants to do it is because she says that she's lost a lot of people in her lifetime, and she wants to go to the afterlife just to make sure that they went to a good place. So each person kind of sees something different. One of them sees like a flashback to their childhood where he was bullying another kid. One of them, he sees real erotic women in his afterlife. But one thing that they all kind of have in common is that their senses are really heightened. Most of their dreams have that tunnel, have that white light that most people talk about at the end of life. They all have real vivid colors and can kind of be compared to when someone would take DMT, the dream drug, that it would make your senses really heightened. So the movie progresses with each one of them taking a little bit longer to visit the afterlife. Like I said, the first one, he was only down for 30 seconds and they revived him. And then the next one, he knows around 2 minutes. And then finally, the girl, she says that she wants to go for 5 minutes. Which is a really long time to be down. And then actually in the very last scene of the movie, the guy whose idea it was to actually do this experiment, he actually was down for like a total of 13 minutes and they revived him, which is a real unlikely scenario, but again, it's a movie. So, it's really interesting to kind of see how far these medical students want to push the limits, and just so they can see if they're, what is in the afterlife, and see, each person sees something very different. As a medical professional, the movie was intriguing because it had a great idea of trying to see what's in the afterlife. You know, you hear stories all the time about near-death experiences and what people see, what they hear, what they think about. You know, and if you haven't been there, then, you know, you just don't quite understand, you don't comprehend. And, you know, especially if you don't really believe in religion or believe in an afterlife, it's a hard thing to kind of comprehend as well. But also on the other side, it was kind of a hard movie to watch simply because some of the things that they did, you know, no sane person would do, and some of the things that they did in the movie just didn't make sense as far as, I mean, I know that they cooled the body just to keep from, you know, having brain damage while this person was down, but they immediately started rewarming the body, which if you've ever worked a code, you know, post codes, you don't rewarm the body, you keep them cool. And also, it's not very often, I've had it happen once where somebody was, we coded, and immediately after, you know, they were sitting up and talking to us. But in this movie, these people, after they're coded, you know, have CPR done on them, they're up walking around in the streets, laughing, having a good time, and that's just not, that doesn't happen. So it was kind of unrealistic in that aspect. Also kind of neat to see that even after the people were resuscitated, you know, from having these afterlife experiences, they still continued to visit it in their daily life. You know, they were having hallucinations days and days after they were resuscitated. They were being revisited by their, you know, their past, by their childhood friends and family. And actually, one of the cast members was being haunted by this hallucination. So it's kind of interesting to see that even, you know, the initial experiment was over and they had been resuscitated, they were still having these really heightened senses and vivid imagery. And I decided to really pick this movie because I have personally not ever experienced death until I became a nurse, and, you know, have had patients die. But before that, you know, I hadn't had any family members or any friends or anything pass away, so I had never really gotten to experience death. I didn't know what it was like. So in my mind, there wasn't really the concept of an afterlife. So it was kind of neat to watch this movie and kind of get an insight, you know, to what people think is in the afterlife, you know, what they believe, if they're going to heaven or if they're going to hell. So it was really neat in that aspect. So again, this is my YouTube analysis of the movie Flatliners. If you get a chance to watch this movie, I would highly recommend it. Thank you.